So in this episode, I have a lot of things I actually wanted to talk about. It's going to be maybe one of the more podcasty type of episodes on the show. It's not just going to be me talking about one concept for 20, 30 minutes. It's going to be me kind of bouncing between different ideas and things that I've been thinking about in recent days and events that are happening in my life right now that I wanted to share, that I wanted to get out there, that I wanted to permanently put out there on the internet as kind of this podcast is a log of my life. It's me going through the things that are happening in this time. So that's kind of what I'm going to be talking about today. I have a bunch of different ideas and topics and things that are on my mind right now. So that is what this episode is going to be about. First and foremost, starting with I'm just going to get into it, right? I'm going to start immediately with what happened yesterday. So officially, I am now officially a registered, licensed, certified personal trainer. So I can go and I can get a job at a gym or I can do stuff on my own. I'm now legally allowed to do it because I now have my certification. It's now officially set, sealed, signed, and delivered. I did my exam yesterday, so that's super cool. It's a super cool thing. It took a while because if you've been following the show, I talked about how I was doing this like a couple months ago. It's because it really did take that long. There was a month in between my course and my exam, and then another couple weeks between my first exam and my second exam. But now that that's done, I'm now here and I'm ready. And honestly, I'm just reflecting on what I learned. I'm reflecting on kind of how it all works, and it's pretty interesting. It's just interesting to me because the funny thing that happened yesterday is it was me and this other guy that was also doing it. So we basically the plan was you had to kind of simulate a workout. So I pretended to be his client and then he pretended to be my client, and we alternated that. And obviously we both passed and we did well on the exam, so that was great. But I found out that they were just kind of trashing me. They were trashing my posture throughout the first assessment. So you have the passive and dynamic assessments, which is a pretty important thing. A passive assessment is you just the person just stands there and you look at them. You look at potential problems they may have with their joints and with all sorts of things. And then dynamic assessment, you actually get them to do things like a squat, for example, to see how they actually move and if there's any problems with their movement, like for example, like knees. If for a squat their knees cave in or move too far outwards, you need to fix that because those are things that can cause injury. And it's just how they feel naturally. So I was getting trashed on because of my posture, and they noticed that my shoulders, that one shoulder's higher than the other. That's been something that I noticed a long time ago, but they noticed it as well. And my obviously my back being not so good, my scapula being outward, kind of like hunched over a little bit, my neck having a forward lean. And then when I did the dynamic assessment, which was actually a movement, they saw how much worse it was, and I was just kind of getting trashed basically for my posture and for my lack of shoulder mobility basically. So that was fun. That it was not very fun, but it was funny for sure to say the least. But definitely something to learn for myself that I can actually improve on from a postural standpoint, from a stability standpoint. But of course, learning the muscles, learning about how the body moves, learning about different types of exercises, how to explain exercises, and how to plan a program for someone is a very good skill to have. I think if someone ever needs it in my life, I can provide that for them. Or if I decide to take on clients myself, I have the tools and I have the knowledge, and I can also apply it to myself as well, as I kind of saw a little bit as well. I can apply it to my own workout routine and my own type of training to improve things in my life as well. Using this knowledge to help me and help those around me, as well as potentially if I decide to take on actual clients, do that as well. I'm not so sure if I'm actually going to use the personal training certification. It only lasts a year before you have to do stuff to renew it. So I'm not sure if I'm actually going to use it, but I'll figure it out. I'll figure that out as kind of time passes, basically. I'll figure out what I'm actually going to do with it, but it was definitely interesting to see. There's definitely some very funny moments that happened in the exam yesterday, but I passed, my friend passed, and we got it done, so it was good. It was good to see, and now I'm officially registered as a personal trainer. So if you have any questions, let me know in the comments. Let me know by leave me a message. You can message me on TikTok comments, Instagram comments, or Instagram DM. That stuff's always available. So if you want to kind of ask me a couple of questions based on personal training stuff, let me know. Let me know, and I'll share my knowledge that I've been gathering these last couple of months with you. And yes, And yes, like that's I've kind of just put that out there basically. Obviously, I have a podcast, so I ought to just, even if not many people watch the show, that's okay. I ought to just at least say something about it. If someone wants to message me, if you have a goal you want to reach for like some workout goal you want to reach, body composition goal, you want to lose weight, you want to build muscle, ask me about it, and I can maybe give you some tips for free, right? Because personal trainers, by the way, charge so much money per session, right? We're talking like 60 to 70 bucks per session. You're paying them multiple hundreds of dollars a month. It's a very expensive thing. That's why a lot of people are in it, because it makes good money. But like for me, I never understood it. For me, when I did personal training in Portugal, it was 20 euros a session. It was way better rates and it was great, right? At the most, it became 30 euros a session, but that was because it was a football based thing and we had to rent a field and we needed to cover that cost as well. So that's perfectly understandable, right? Whereas 70 bucks a session, so if you're doing 3 sessions a week, that's $210 a week. You're paying $840 a month for personal training. That's a freaking huge expense, man. That's that's more than your car insurance. Like like that's more than your car payment plus insurance for most cars. Like that's a lot of money to be spending just on personal training. So any kind my opinion is like any kind of free advice you can get as to how to improve yourself, you should take for sure, because the industry charges you a lot of money if you're going to actually get someone to train you. I personally am not trying to charge that much money when I actually set something up, but like, yes, if you have any questions, let me know. That's kind of the point. Is like now I'm actually like officially a person that is qualified to answer those questions. So anything you may have, let me know. Whether it be in the comments, whether it be an Instagram DM, let me know. And I'll be sure to get some information for you with regards to whatever thing you're trying to go and do. So that was what happened yesterday. It was a pretty fun moment. And now we're kind of moving on, and I'll see what I do with personal training. Today, the things that are happening today, a couple of interesting things as well. I'm going to be doing a boxing class today, literally in a couple hours from now, at the time of recording. I'll probably upload the video later, but I'm going to be doing a boxing class. I haven't done a boxing class in like a long time, probably like a year since I've done a boxing class. So this is going to be cool. It's going to be fun. I'm supporting a good friend that I worked with. I worked with for a little bit, and I'm supporting him because he's a good dude, and he always wanted to actually get that role of being the boxing trainer coach guy, because he was doing his personal training course stuff as well, and it took him a long time to get it done, and he finally was able to do it. He's actually been doing it for a while now, and it's only really now that I've been able to have some time, because I've had some pretty busy weeks and weekends these last few weeks, to be honest. Like just things that are going on in my life that there's only 2 classes a week. So even like, for example, like a random Wednesday, if there was a class on the Wednesday, I'd be able to do it, because most Wednesdays I'm not really doing much. But the days that the classes are, I'm pretty much doing stuff all those days. But finally, I have a Sunday where I can actually go and do it. Obviously, I'm not going to go to church today. That's going to be the thing I sacrifice. But I did go. I did go 2 weeks ago. Last week I had the cottage trip. I did go 2 weeks ago. Perhaps I have to go next week. You should probably be going every week, right? But I did want to set some time aside to show support for him, to actually take his class and to actually enjoy that and try something a little bit newer, which is this style of boxing, which I'm excited for. So that's what I'm going to be doing today. That's on the agenda for today. So it's going to be pretty cool. And of course, what else? The other thing that's on the agenda for today is the World Cup final. Tomorrow, I'll probably go more in depth as to what happened and things that happened and go over the final. And maybe also I want to do a tournament review as well. I'm not sure if I'm going to be doing it in 1 episode or 2 episodes. I'll figure that one out as time goes on, but you should definitely stay tuned for those as well that are going to come up. But yeah, tomorrow's the World Cup final. Sorry, not tomorrow. Today. Today is the World Cup final. Argentina versus Spain. Obviously, I'm going Argentina the whole way because that's the team I'm supporting. I'm so glad that they made the final. Things didn't look so good in recent games, but they managed with pure mentality and pure moments of quality to get over the line and get to this point. They made it to the end. It's do or die now, right? So I'm glad that they made it that far, because my other two teams kind of really disappointed. Well, obviously, Canada weren't ever going to make it that far. They made it about as far as they were expected to go, so good for them. But Portugal, it was a big, big disappointment for sure. But I'm hoping Argentina win. I'm hoping they manage to pull it off one more time to beat a very good Spain team. It's going to be a tough match for sure. Obviously, I've already given my score predictions. You can go watch that video if you if you want to see the detailed breakdown analysis and score predictions. But yeah, that is the plan. That is what's happening today, the World Cup. And if Argentina win, I'm not really the type of guy that wants to go out into the city and celebrate and do all those things. But I mean, I guess I'm probably gonna have to. I'm gonna have to be dragged out there. Like that's not really like my thing. I'm like, yeah, you won. It's like good, you won. You can enjoy it, celebrate within your family. But like to go out into the city and just be crazy and like I'm just not. Like that's just not really my thing. Like I have a couple of things I need to get done today that I want to get done in the house. That yes, I'm already going out and doing the boxing class. And then obviously we're probably gonna go out to watch the World Cup final too. I don't want to be wasting too much time celebrating over like just kind of like going over the top type of thing. That's just my opinion. Other people like they will definitely be going over the top for celebrations. So we'll see what happens. Again, I'm hoping for Argentina, cheering for them all the way. But we will definitely see what happens in this final, and of course, I'll review it in the coming days as well. I'll figure out what I'm actually going to do with regards to that. But yeah, also the third place game yesterday, by the way, I definitely didn't want to just kind of go over that. Usually always the third place game is just kind of insignificant. It shouldn't matter because it's literally like you've been knocked out already, right? Both England and France, they got knocked out already. So that example 6-4. That was an example of two teams that really just didn't care. They just went all for it because they knew that the game didn't really matter in the grand scheme of things. So that was crazy. The 6-4. Like I only watched the first half because I had to go and do my personal training exam. It was in the evening, so I had to leave to go do that. And by the time I actually got to the place, they were playing on TV and it said 6-4. I'm like, what the hell? How did that happen? But basically, like France almost made a comeback, but then England managed to keep it going. Right? I predicted the score would be 2-0 France. Like that's like I predicted for it to just kind of go just like a boring game that was just no one really cared about because that's the nature of the third place game. But they both went at it, and fair play. 6-4 is a crazy match, and I have to watch the highlights because again, first half it was 4-0 England. I was like, oh, the game's over, but no, no, pretty crazy, pretty insane that actually happened. Like that's like insane scoreline. No one would have ever predicted that. If you had put a bet on the score to be 6-4 to England, you probably would have won a lot of money because no one would have ever predicted that. So I couldn't talk about the World Cup final without kind of just touching upon what happened yesterday. And it kind of pisses me off because Messi should win the Golden Boot. Like Messi deserves it. But Mbappe is now probably going to win it. Messi's going to have to score 2 goals or get a hat trick in the final to win the Golden Boot, which is stupid. That like those goals from the third place game count towards your Golden Boot for the World Cup. It's stupid because you've already been knocked out. Like you've already lost your game and you've been knocked out of the tournament, right? So it's like I think those goals shouldn't really count, especially in a game that had that many goals. So now Messi will have to actually, in a real match, in the final of the World Cup, which is the biggest match in all of sports, he's going to have to come in and score more goals than Mbappe scored to win the Golden Boot. I thought Messi was going to get the Golden Boot, the Golden Ball, and all of that would be guaranteed, right? If Argentina win the World Cup, Messi will get the Golden Ball. He probably will get it either way. But but yeah, like that's kind of that kind of pisses me off. But there's nothing you can really do. That's the nature of how it goes, and that's just what it is. So I'm excited for the World Cup final, and of course, I just wanted to touch upon the game yesterday as well because that was pretty insane that happened as well. So that's that thing kind of talked about. And then the next kind of point that I wanted to touch upon is just like kind of overall my life. In like I'm trying my best. I am using my phone notes app to write things that I need to improve on. So I have this kind of list of things that I'm doing bad at and tendencies in my life that I don't like and patterns that I'm falling into that I'm trying to change. So what I'm doing is every morning I'm reading through these notes and through these criticisms of myself and I have like some open goals that maybe I want to be doing for the rest of this year that I'm reading to myself every morning. And I'm trying to actually set the standard. I'm trying to actually go on a path where I'm actually doing better, where I'm actually genuinely moving in a better direction for myself in my life. Because I've talked about in a couple of episodes that I don't like the direction that I'm going in. That I don't have good emotional self-control, that I'm too focused on feelings at times. And I don't work as hard as I ought to at times. And these are things that I've been knowing. But like I just feel like last couple months I've just been spiraling out of control, obviously with my most recent job, how I've been reflecting based on that. Like the only reason I ought to have stayed in my recent job at the job that I quit is because it was hard. It was because I hated every second of it. And that's the reason to stay, not the reason to quit. To prove that I can endure hardship. And as of now, I haven't really proven that to myself yet. And I've talked about this concept absolutely before on the show. But now I'm actually trying to put it in writing, review it every morning and every day, that I may actually remember what I have to do, just constantly remind myself of what I have to do to overcome fears that I'm dealing with. Basically, I'll just tell you what I wrote down. The first thing is that my tolerance for work is low. That the stress that I go under when I work and difficulty when I don't like the work that I'm doing is low. I'm quick to just stop working. I'm quick to not really wanting to do more work. But reality is that when it is hard is where you actually have, is where those tests actually are, is where you have to actually keep going. So that's what I have to work on. The second one is I'm too focused on feelings. I'm too focused on feeling good rather than just going after something that's difficult, because you're not supposed to feel good. You're not, like, at times you're not supposed to enjoy every second of your life. You have to go through difficulty and hardship and bad feelings, but that's okay. And I have to kind of get used to that. And the third one is that I'm afraid of things, and I'm fearful of rejection and of bad interactions with people, and I'm fearful of failure and all those types of things. And I have to not let those fears overcome me at all. I need to put those fears to the side and understand that I only get one shot at this thing called life. And the final thing that I wrote down is the fact that when I was in Portugal, when I had this football dream, when I had this goal that was a bigger goal, that goal was worth more to me than these types of feelings. I feel like I had these tendencies even back then, but having that bigger goal was a bigger priority than focusing on, like, little fears and stupidities, right? Whereas now that that goal is not really there in the same way, I have to find something that is worth more than my feelings, basically. I need to have a bigger reason to change than the reason to stay the same. That's pretty much exactly what I wrote down in my notes. And then I gave myself a few open-ended questions and goals for the rest of this year and for my life going forward. So I'm reviewing that every single day, and I'm trying to actually make strides to change in my life, because I feel like I have been stagnating a little bit too much. Like, basically my plan is, like, I'm going to enjoy the summer. I want to have a good summer. It's unfortunate that the last few days have been, at least in Toronto and in like the East Coast, there've been the fires, so, like, the weather's not really been so good. But as the weather gets better, I'm just trying to genuinely go out there and enjoy my summer. But once summer is over, I have to actually, like literally, like, I have to lock back in, and I have to kind of get back a little bit into the suck, right? Get back into the just the mental lab, right? For David Goggins type of thing, that type of mindset. Just get back into the mental lab, get back into actually doing those difficult things, and the grind has to start again, truly from the start. And it's kind of a new grind. It's a new setup where I need to actually start making change in my life rather than continuing to meander along, because the worst thing that I want to happen in my life is blink and then I'm 25, blink and then I'm 30, and I'm still in the same position. So I'm actually trying to strive to make those changes now. Catch myself in the moment of just mediocrity and change it now. So that's what I'm doing now, and that's what I'm working on. And of course, I'm growing in my faith as well. That's the number one thing that will always be the foundation for me. With my most recent prayers to God, I've been having great prayers. And this has been a thing in my life where like, when I'm in difficult moments, I pray to God, and I'm comforted from those tough moments. But at times, sometimes my prayers feel a little bit repetitive at times, and I have to change things up to always be intentional and be present with God rather than just repeating the same thing over and over again. There's a verse in the Bible, it's in the Sermon on the Mount, where Jesus says, "Don't repeat prayers with vain babblings as the heathen do. Instead say, Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name, thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For the kingdom, the power, and the glory are yours now and forever." So sometimes I find that I fall into those vain babblings, and my prayers aren't as fruitful, because I know how much I need prayer. I know how much I need that meditation, that reflection to God about the things that I'm dealing with in my life. So it's been great that in recent times I have been really feeling that fire for the Lord. I've been feeling just great after my prayers. I've felt like I've really been vulnerable, saying everything, giving it up to God, leaning on Him for support as I ought to in my prayers more often, to just truly be able to like just feel good at the end of the prayer, but also understand that God's with me and really have that fire. And as I'm growing in faith, leaving it truly at God's feet. And I've been doing better in recent days with that. So I'm only increasing in faith, and that's going to help me overcome the other difficulties that I'm dealing with, that I'm writing down as well. So from like a self-improvement perspective, I really have to start honing in on it, and I'm actually starting to take the steps to do that. But of course, my faith, my belief in Jesus Christ will be the foundation always for everything that I decide to do, every kind of thing that I put out there in my life. So as I kind of have a couple things that I'm going through today, I always have to remember God. And as I am doing personal training, when I'm deciding whether or not I'm actually going to use it or not, even like if I do decide to use it, I need to use it for the glory of God. And as that's always my foundation, that will always be the way that I continue to move forward in my life, because that's of course the greatest feeling that I ever have every day is when I'm reflecting on the word of God, when I'm praying to God, when I'm developing my relationship with him. There's no greater feeling throughout my life. So that's why I talk about the gospel. That's why I talk about Jesus Christ throughout this episode and throughout this podcast, because that's the message I really have for all of you, because there's really nothing greater that you could have in your life. You can be down the self-improvement rabbit hole, but it can really be all meaningless and worthless if you don't have that foundation, which the ultimate foundation is the Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. So I invite you to put your faith in him every day. So that's kind of just as I'm doing. So that's kind of what I'm dealing with. That's kind of the personal things that I've been going through. So those were the ideas that I had today. Again, a bunch of different things, a bunch of different topics coming up in my life right now that I'm talking about. Obviously tomorrow and maybe the next day I'll talk about the World Cup stuff. But as I kind of go through this summer, that's kind of the goal for me. I'm trying to enjoy the summer. I'm trying to have a good time. But then by the time the summer's over, I really got to get back into that grind mode and really start actually making those changes that I have for myself in my life. But I'm already starting to plant those seeds and improve the quality of my thoughts. Obviously, I've already been talking about that concept. I talked about that one a couple of videos ago. Improving the quality of thoughts by the content I consume, not consuming garbage, instead really moving into a better direction that can move me in a better direction, that I can actually go out there and achieve those things that are set out for me and actually achieve that potential and not waste my life and my days. So whatever that may look like for me, I'm continuing to go on that grind. So I invite you to kind of go out there and do the same. Be introspective, reflect, but don't ruminate. Reflect on what you need to do better, but don't be so harsh on yourself. Make sure you just write some goals down. I think writing it down is a great way to do it. That's why I kind of have this thing in the notes on my phone that I repeat every day that I need to do better in. It gives me just a little bit of a structure. It allows me to read something and let it be imprinted in my mind. There was an amazing saying that I heard recently that was just, we need to be reminded more than we need to be taught. Most times you actually know what you need to do, but writing it down and reading it every day and reviewing something every day, regardless of what it is, will actually help you remember it more often, right? Because you don't necessarily need to be taught. Like, I know that I have to not have fear. I know that I have to give it all to the Lord and I have to not let fears overcome me. I know that sins and temptations are bad and that I need to overcome them and that they will destroy me in the end if I don't do better. But like, you can only get that, those thoughts can only get you so far. Writing it down and always being in remembrance of that, of those writings and those things you need to do better, is a better way to kind of give you that structure and just remind you where you need to go in your life. So that's what I'm doing. I encourage you to do the same, and I think this is a great way to move forward as well. So that's pretty much all I got to say for today. That's all the things that are happening in my life right now. That are all the thoughts on my mind right now, the things I'm currently going through and dealing with and thinking about and all that kind of stuff. So I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope that you learned a thing or two from some of my reflections and things in this episode. And I hope that you do, in all things, put Jesus Christ as your foundation through it all as well. Thank you for watching this episode. As always, I ask that you show your support in any way. Just being here and just still being at this point. Of course, as always, I appreciate you for watching this far regardless. But if you can, and if you did enjoy it, showing your support on this episode by leaving a like, by subscribing or following on Spotify, subscribing on YouTube, leaving a comment, let me know what you think of this episode. Let me know what you're dealing with in your life right now. Those are ways you can show me that you enjoyed this episode, by truly showing your support and watching some of the other great episodes I've made on this show, which YouTube will show at the end of the episode, and as well, I'll leave it in the description and in the cards, as I do in every single episode on this show. So thank you for watching this episode of the 365 podcast. I'm going to be wrapping it up now. As always, continue to glorify God every day throughout your life. I hope you enjoyed, and I hope that you enjoyed these many different ideas that I've been talking about today. As always, I will see you tomorrow for the next episode.